everyone. My name is Tiffany Griffin, and I am really excited to be here today to demo how I make my holiday scented garland. I am a psychologist turned social entrepreneur based in Durham, North Carolina. At my company, Bright Black, we use scent as an artistic medium to tell positive stories about Blackness. So when thinking about what craft I wanted to demo for Craft Friday, I knew that I wanted it to center on scent. Scent is a powerful sense. When you smell something, it goes straight to your sensors in your brain that are related to emotion and memory. And so what better way to create new holiday memories than with something scented? So here we go. All right, so this scented holiday garland has essentially two parts or two main components, potentially three, but I'll get to that in a second. So the first is drying your citrus. So you can use a dehydrator to dry your citrus, or you can use the oven, which is what I used. I dried some beautiful red grapefruits, also some navel oranges and cara oranges, which will give you kind of a more pink or ruby dried fruit option. Lemons, limes, or little itty bitty mandarin oranges. What I love about creating this garland is that as you're drying your citrus in the oven or in a dehydrator, the experience of the scent changes over time. So as you're cutting the citrus, as you're making your slices with the raw citrus, you get this zesty, fresh hit of scent, and that's kind of invigorating. It's kind of exciting. And then as your citrus dries over time, the concentration of those scents gets almost caramelly. It gets sweeter. It still has the different aromas of whatever citrus you're using, but it deepens and gets a lot more complex and provides a really different sensory experience. And so it's a wonderful craft to use to kind of be present and to mark the present moment and to have beautiful smells in your environment. So there's another component of the video where I showed how you can dehydrate your citrus in the oven. If for some reason you want to fast track that, you can always buy dried citrus and your garland will turn out absolutely wonderful. So dried citrus is the first component. Second component is constructing or building, making your actual garland, which I'll show in just one bit. And then of course, I wanted to weave in Spoonflower. And so I designed a scented holiday garland that used Spoonflower fabric remnants. And so if you have just some extra pieces of fabric lying around, or even extra pieces of wallpaper, particularly the peel and stick wallpaper, you can level up your citrus holiday garland in a really cool way that I'll show in just a bit. The first step is to dry your citrus fruits. So I have a lemon here, just cut off the edge. You want a really, really, really sharp knife, and you want to cut slices that are approximately 1/4 inch in thickness. Any thinner, you run the risk of burning your citrus as you dehydrate them in the oven. And any thicker, you run the risk of them taking forever to dehydrate. So yes, I have found that about 1/4 inch really works well. Sharp knife, steady hand to try to get even thickness all the way through. One of the coolest things about this step from a scent perspective is that when you first start, you are greeted by this nice, zesty, bright citrus scent. But as you dehydrate them in the oven, you'll notice that the smells and the aromas change as the citrus fruit loses more and more liquid. So by the end, you're kind of greeted with these lovely, almost caramelly, like citrus notes. So once you have all of your citrus, lay down a kitchen towel if you have one, and then you can lay your slices down on here to absorb some of that moisture. You can take a kitchen towel, have one that's on theme, and blot gently. You don't want to press too hard because then you can kind of damage the pattern of the segment slices. So you want to be very gentle with this. And then what you can't see on the screen right now is my oven is preheated to the lowest setting. For my oven, that's 170 degrees Fahrenheit. I do not own a dehydrator. If you own a dehydrator, you can use that. If you do not, you can preheat your oven to the lowest setting that it goes. There are two ways to dehydrate. So one is on a cookie sheet with parchment paper at the bottom, and you just lay them down on the parchment like so. Another way is on a cookie sheet fitted with a oven-proof rack, and you can put parchment underneath. You don't have to. I found that the cleanup is pretty easy. And then you just lay your slices here on the rack. And then you'll place the racks, your cookie sheets in your oven, ideally on the middle rack. If you have to use a couple racks, you want to alternate them over time. And how I've done this is I've dehydrated, and every hour, I set an alarm for an hour. Every hour I flip the citrus and then switch the trays. So if it's the middle and top, then I'll put the tray that's on the middle on the top rack, and the tray that's on the top rack on the middle, and then I'll make sure to flip each slice. And I found that rotating and flipping every hour leads to a really even dehydrating, no sticking to the rack, and no burnt spots. So I did learn that the hard way, so learn from my mistakes. I have found that anywhere from 2 to 5 hours, depending on the particular citrus. Unfortunately, I can't give a more precise recommendation than that because we have found that it takes various amounts of time. So into the oven we go. Okay, our trays are prepared. It is totally, I don't know if you can see that. It is totally okay for your citrus to touch because as they dehydrate, they will shrink in size. So totally okay. As you see, I'm using 2 trays and 2 racks. So I will show you once these are dehydrated how they come out, how they look differently depending on whether you use a cookie sheet with a heat-proof cooling rack on top or whether you use parchment. So these are going to go into the oven for at least 2 hours, maybe up to 5. And when they are done, I will show you what your dehydrated citrus fruit looks like. Okay, so we're now ready to dig into constructing our scented garland. I'm really excited. You can use a number of different materials to create your garland. You can use twine, you can use, a burlap twine, you can use string, you can use ribbon. I actually like the kind of whimsical look that you get when you use, if folks can see that, if you use this illusion cord. It's also known as like fisherman's line or fisher person's line. And so that's what I'm going to be using today. So you just need whatever string of choice and your citrus. You can also embellish with other scented items. So something that I love is bay leaf. It's so lovely and earthy and wonderful. Or cinnamon sticks, star anise. Y'all can see that, star anise, or eucalyptus, just kind of whatever holiday smell goods ring your fancy. So I'm gonna bring the camera in a little bit to zoom in on my hands so you all can see how I put the garland together. All right, here I go. Okay, so first just get some string to whatever length you want your garland to be. I would suggest going way longer than you think so that you'll have some room at either side to tie. And what I used is just a safety pin and poked a small hole at the top of one of the pieces of citrus and put my illusion cord through that hole, pull it through the other side, and then tie it off so that you have your starting point. And I do a double tie just to be extra super careful that it's not going to come undone. You can also secure it with a dot of hot glue or something. So this is my first citrus slice. And then I'm just going to keep continuing along. If you're really precise, you can measure and do it at equal intervals. Otherwise, you can be more wabi-sabi in your technique like I am and just kind of alternate the length of space in between each citrus slice. So, yeah, you just tie it off and keep going until you reach the end of your garland. So I'm going to keep going and then show you both what it looks like when I get to the end, and then also show you some modifications of how you can weave in some other scented items. Alrighty, so I got through this first string, this example, and this is where we are. I think it's so pretty. And now I'm going to show you some different modifications on the basic garland, and then I'll show you a few ways that you can hang it. So here we go. As promised, I wanted to show you a few different iterations of how you can construct your garland. So this is all Cara oranges. You can see how the light shines through. Very pretty. You can also mix citrus. So here's an example of grapefruit, navel, Cara oranges, lemons, limes, and mandarin. So you can mix it up. You can mix in spices. You'll see this is garland with Cara oranges and cinnamon sticks. And then if citrus isn't your thing, you can still make the garland. So this is bay leaves, and at the end is a cute little star anise. Okay, so we're going to make these cute little ornaments to embellish our scented garland. And all you need are some old ornaments, some scraps of fabric or wallpaper, and some glue. I'm using Mod Podge. Pro tip, pour a little out into a small cup or bowl so that it doesn't dry out. I found that creating these little matchsticks was the best way to apply. The smaller the strip, the higher the likelihood that you'll actually get something that looks round and smooth afterwards. I tried it with big strips and it wasn't as round and smooth. You can use these mini ornaments or use something bigger. You can use a full-size ornament. I like the mini ornaments just because I think it looks better on the garland. It pairs better, in my opinion, with the garland. And you just apply your strip, and then you can put the glue on top of it. I found using a paintbrush was really great for application. It made it really smooth, and you just have to have patience and apply it nicely. You can go in any direction. I thought this was really awesome because your ornaments will take on new life and will look completely different than the original pattern that you started with. And I got a bunch of patterns that I thought would be really fun as we celebrated Kwanzaa this year. So I got some black and beige and some other patterns to mark the Kwanzaa season. I thought that would be really fun. Kind of mixing traditions in a creative way. This goes on white, but it does dry clear. And if you have patience and smooth along the way, you will get an ornament that is relatively round. And once it's dry, you can also paint additional coats to make it even shinier. You can dip them in glitter, which was my daughter's suggestion. And you can also, if you use like a children's glue, you can also do this with the kids. So my daughter made some as well, which I thought came out super cute. So yeah, you just keep going. I'll just do a few more strips so you get the gist. But there's really no wrong way to do it. You just keep working around until you have covered the entire ornament. I put mine on parchment paper to dry. Your hands will get sticky, just embrace it. And you can take the top off the ornament to be more precise, but I didn't bother. I found it was totally fine. Just leaving it on there. So yeah, mix and match the directions. You can use multiple fabrics per ornament and make some really cool designs. And then you pair these with your scented garland to like totally level up your holiday experience. It has amazing textures and colors, and just creates a really stunning craft and stunning centerpiece. So yeah, so you keep working around, put it on a piece of parchment, and you get eventually something that looks like this, which I think is so pretty. It's a different one that had Sankofa birds. And my daughter opted for these different patterns. So yeah, let me show you how to put it all together. All right, as promised, I wanted to show you how we've styled the garland in the past. So I have two examples. One, I have this cute little itsy bitsy Christmas tree here, and you can just drape your scented garland around your tree however you'd like. And it looks super cute. So, yes, and I love how the illusion wire just fades into the tree so that you can't see it. So that is one super cute application, and you can add little lights, maybe fairy lights. Very awesome. The second way that we've styled is with this really pretty existing garland, and I just added some pine cones to it. And then you can add your citrus to the garland as well. And then now you have like a really pretty garland. You can, if you're using the bay leaves or cinnamon sticks or star anise, that would go really well in here as well. Oops, this one. Very forgiving. There you go, and then you could put it up on your wall. Very cute. So those are my two ways of creating. So I have three examples of how you might style your scented garland after you've put it on your twine or your string or your illusion wire. So I have a cute little Christmas tree here. You can do this on a big tree. I did it on a little mini tabletop tree. I also added it to some garland that I just bought at the store and then added some pine cones to. So you can imagine this on a wall, over a window would be really pretty, and even over your mantle, that would be awesome. And then the third example, I took inspiration from a chandelier and just used a hoop ring and created this really awesome centerpiece that you can put on your wall. And in this I used cinnamon and bay leaves and citrus, and so you can hang it. So that's it, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me as we've created this beautiful scented holiday garland. I love this craft so much. It has beautiful sights, obviously, but also beautiful smells from cutting that zesty citrus and drying it in your dehydrator or your oven, to working with different spices or herbs, and then pairing it, if you so choose, if you choose to level up, pairing it with these cute little Spoonflower ornaments that you can make with any remnants of fabric or wallpaper that you happen to have in your house or your workshop. It's a really awesome experience. It leaves you feeling present and calm, and you're creating something beautiful. And the craft also is not tied to a specific religion or faith or background. So whether you're celebrating Kwanzaa or Christmas or Hanukkah or New Year or the solstice, or just the beautiful winter days and nights, you can create this wonderful craft. It should last the entire season if you dry out your citrus properly and use dried herbs. And it's just a really great moment to just take a break, create something beautiful, and enjoy the season. So thank you so much for joining me on this Craft Friday, and I hope you'll try making this in your own homes or workshops.